Welcome to this online interview by Project Cargo Weekly. Our very special guests of honor today are two nice gentlemen. First of all, Mr. Paul Albert-Lebrun. He is the CEO and co-founder of the company Nodal, and his colleague, Mr. Nick Westgate, who is also the co-founder. First and foremost, to both of you, very welcome to this interview.
Thanks for having us, Bo.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Starting with you, Paul, I always allow my accused, or shall we say interviewees in a nicer word, giving them the chance to elaborate a little bit about their career leading up to getting involved in logistics. Briefly, Paul, who are you, if you can tell our viewers about you a little bit? How did you end up where you are?
Sure, yeah. My background is not at all in the logistics space, actually. My background is in sort of robotics and space applications. So I was working for a startup before called Kepler Communications. It was a Toronto-based startup. And we were working to launch the internet in space for space. And so I joined, as an engineer early on, and then eventually worked in a product role. And it was during my time in the space industry that I got to see sort of some real world problems happening on Earth from space. In fact, that's sort of the promised land of Earth observation, and Earth observation satellites were kind of one of the major customers of the company I was working for. And I got to see, over time, these challenges happening specifically in the logistics sector. And I saw it purely visually. I just saw basically vessels, trains and trucks waiting outside of ports, transport nodes. And I got particularly interested in why, especially during COVID. And then I met up with my co-founder here, Nick. We've been friends for a long time, and his background probably will thread the line between, why I came, we started working on this company together.
Okay, great, Paul. Then I have our viewers have a little bit of a background to you. The same with you, Nick. I understand you both are good friends, but how come you are sitting where you are sitting right now?
Sure. And I think the best part is something that Paul actually left out. So him and I actually met in our last semester at McGill at the engineering bar. Oh. And that's actually how we got together. And that's when we became friends about 7 years ago now. And so my background is in the mining industry. I've always loved new innovations, new technologies in that space. So when I graduated, I helped essentially launch one of the first innovation groups for a mining company. And in my role, I was essentially working with startups, kind of like my own right now, in bringing new technologies to mining operations. So essentially bringing like the new world to the old world. And this was an unbelievable job. I learned a lot in doing so. In the second part of my career, I got closer to operations. And in the last job that I had, I was leading up all the operations and construction planning for one of the largest mining expansion projects in the world, and this is Voisey's Bay. Voisey's Bay is a copper nickel mine in northern Canada, in Labrador specifically. And it was a big expansion project looking to go further underground. And the reason I came across this opportunity to work actually in ports of all places is because a lot of the materials that I was ordering to site for this project we're unfortunately getting stuck at ports, containers, stuck here, stuck there, etc. So honestly, out of curiosity, I started looking into, things that could help improve on this problem. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized that I love what I was seeing. So Paul and I decided, I guess, to our partners, I'm sure happiness, to just quit our jobs and to dive into understanding this problem. So we've been at this for about a year now, and now I am in Montreal, building this as one of the founders.
Okay, that's very impressive. I always enjoy when young people develop something new, and you said it in a key point here. Paul, you have a background in space, and Nick, you have in mining, and what is linking them both? Logistics problems. And or not problems, solutions, we should say. And so it's logistics that kind of ties you together, and also with me here, the three of us. So just to get back to our viewers so they understand what Nodal is, and I forgot to mention in my beginning that you were based in, or let's say, in Boston, in the States. But Nodal, what kind of product is it, Paul, that you want to give to the market? What is it you are keen and believe that you have the solution for.
Sure, yeah. And maybe I'll answer the question by just giving a bit of a story as well on how we got to it, because I think it might be relevant. So when Nick and I, decided to go after this problem that was just, why are basically transport systems waiting outside of these nodes, we decided sort of the best way to go understand it is to be part of the network. And so we boarded a ship actually in Hamburg, and we kind of sailed the North Sea to Antwerp. You probably know this, Bo, but the North Sea is not the most friendly sea in the world. So yeah, exactly. So we learned many things, including some life lessons during that journey. And I think basically the theme of the first 6 months of us starting this company was trying to get to the bottom of why this was happening. And of course, there's so many reasons. Some of them are massive, and a startup like ours would not be able to undertake it from the get-go. But we wanted to find something really tangible, we could go after in the first sort of product we released. And one of the key insights we got by traveling on that ship and by spending time shadowing a lot of terminal operators was that these terminal operators often, get to use a terminal operating system or a main major tool that help them operate their operations. And typically what this tool helps them understand is where to place containers on the yard or on the vessels or on the trains or the trucks. And this, this tool, for all intents and purposes, is doing its job. Like it's very much doing the thing that they want it to do. But we found that a lot of the actual operations still happens outside of the tool. We found that a lot of time the rostering, the maintenance, the equipment, the things that are truly happening on the ground floor happen outside of that terminal operating system. They happen in emails, in Excel sheets, in notes, in pictures, in a whole slew of different things. And the first step was, can we create a product that can pull together disparate data sources that are unstructured? So they're completely unstructured. And can we make sense of it and build something that sits beside the terminal operating system that would help them operate their terminal? And that's the first product that we've built. And so this first product takes this disparate data and it's able to find areas of improvement on the yard that would increase a key metric that the specific terminal is after. So sometimes some terminals are after increasing their gross moves per hour. Sometimes the terminal is focused on increasing truck turn times. We leverage the data to identify these sort of blind spots that a lot of times our customers are unaware of. Maybe the last thing I'll say here is similar to Google Maps. Google Maps is really when you're trying to get to a destination, it's optimizing for time. So you're always getting these micro adjustments to your path that would lead you to have a shorter time to your destination. In a similar way, we act sort of as a Google Maps, where we're constantly providing micro adjustments to the operation that will, when compounded, lead to improving that key metric that they're really after. We're not a dashboard company. In fact, it's like the word that we are not allowed to use in the company. It's like the banned word, because we feel that so many companies have come out with dashboards that really just tell the operators how far off target they are, and they already know how far off target they are, right? So we're definitely not that.
So Paul, just in layman's terms, the product you have is a software that increases the efficiency in running terminals. It thereby increasing the efficiency also would save them money. Is that correctly stated?
That is one aspect of the product, but I wouldn't say it's for efficiency purposes. The goal of the product is to improve or to increase their business. It's to improve the quality of service so they can attract more business. We're actually not really in the game of cost cutting. Like the purpose of the business is to provide a tool. We call it an advisor that's supposed to really help them grow their business. That's really what we're after with this first product.
Okay, cool. Very, very, very interesting. So if I ask you, Paul, your customers, would that be the terminal operators? Would it be the shipping lines who run terminals? Anyone who are running, let's say, container terminals around the world would be your ideal customers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, correct. I mean, we simplify it usually by saying, we're going after terminal operating groups that operate, a few terminals. We typically target and are interested in the in the small to medium sized terminals, right? So sub a million containers, a year is kind of our sweet spot, and that's typically where we've found we can drive the most value and actually increase the business for their operations.
How do you divide your job? I mean, you must have a knack for developing these kind of tools. What can you see? Do you feel that the market is ripe at the moment, if I ask you, Nick, for this kind of product?
Yeah, I mean, the way that we split up our jobs right now, and it's not always clear, when you start a company, you're almost like, co-CEOs until you realize that, you sort of got to split things up. So Paul, having been in a product leadership role previously, he is a technical CEO, and I am more on a commercial side.
Right.
What I typically do is I do what I love, and that's being in operations. It's going to arrange yard visits. It's talking to terminal operators, whether they're leadership, superintendents, planners, etc. And what that does is it helps me identify the opportunities for products that we can build. And I funnel a lot of those ideas over to Paul, and he essentially helps develop them. That's what we've been essentially doing today. And why this is, especially relevant right now is because a lot of terminals have underwent digital transformation in recent years. And a lot of them are feeling like a lot of this information that they're now accumulating has sort of missed the sweet spot on actionability and impact. And they're actually feeling a little bit tired, almost skeptic of another, software solution. And so those are some of the insights that we're starting to gather. And that's essentially how we came up with this first product idea, which is around, making a lot of that information that currently exists today more actionable without adding to more work and whatnot. So that's where we're at now. And in terms of, priorities for the future, we are still very early stage. So we actually have a design partnerships program where we're working with a couple of different partners right now. And I'll be looking to essentially build, closer relationships with some of those partners in the future.
Okay. So there's no doubt that the shipping industry per se is a little bit old-fashioned. I think we all, like you mentioned, Paul, the spreadsheets and whatnot. Well, I'm so old that I don't even know how to make a spreadsheet. So now you understand that I started very early. So we have some people out there in the shipping industry that need to get up to speed, especially smaller and medium-sized terminals that you are after. Let's say your customer base would be them. We also have a saying, there's no free lunch in this world. How do you kick this off the ground? I understand of course, you have the two of you, you have a fantastic partnership and friendship. Money talks. How do you finance your development? Are you in the market to find financiers? Have you got some already? Paul, how is your kind of startup going?
Yeah, sure. So, first we are actually now a team of 6 people. We were founded officially in February of this year, February 2024. We had built a prototype at this point. We had started to work with a few different folks in the industry to help guide the product. And it was in June of this year that we raised our first round of financing from a syndicate of venture capitalist investors. These are investors that are, that understand the industry in large part. We have some generalist investors in there as well. And we raised, just over $3 million.
Wow.
And that's given us enough runway to build up this team. We like to call it, a world-class team. And I think that's actually been a huge priority of ours right now. Obviously the product and our customers are number one. But we find that we are attracting some talent that typically, I would say, hasn't necessarily gone to logistics,
right.
to the logistics industry. We're working with folks that have worked and been in leadership roles for some of the most advanced startups out there. My background is space, so I brought somebody from that industry that had a tremendous amount of experience with data. So I think that's really where one of our strong suits is, when our design partners work with us, they're working with a team of folks that are experts on the technical side, and we're marrying that with the operations side with Nick and somebody else in the team. We often say, the product that we're building right now is built by operators for that reason.
It sounds like a marriage made in heaven to me, because back in the day I started in shipping in 1980, and shipping is, as I said earlier, a very conservative business. And it seems to me that you have, Nick, you have mining. That means you know what they need. You didn't get the product on time. Things were delayed. Paul, you have space, where you really have to be accurate, if nowhere else. The two of you, it seems to me that you have a product that, let's say, this conservative shipping industry could use. How do you see the chances of, have you managed to secure some customers yet, or is it still in the infant stages, getting a customer on board so you have references?
So we do have, we call them design partners. They're basically companies that have agreed to share all their data with us, and that agreed to meet with us, once every 2 weeks for a 1-hour deep dive. Those design partners is kind of that part, program that Nick was referring to before, that's really helping us build this product. That's basically that's the latest.
Okay.
I should probably add, sorry, Bo, that this design partnership program is free to the user right now. It's really there because we're looking to work with them so that we understand how to best build the tool.
And again, you mentioned small and medium-sized terminal operators. There are quite a few out there. I mean, if we look away from the big ones like APM, like DP World, there are still a range of terminal operators, also private operators in a variety of ports. It's not all owned by the big ones. And I think governments around the world have finally realized that if they sell off to the big ones, soon the big ones will eat their country. So there will continuously be small and medium-sized terminal operators where you can start to sell your product. What do you do about making sure that the world know about your product? I understand you went to Panama recently. How do you sell your product on a global scale?
We talk to folks like you, Bo.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, I did tell you to ask me that question. So for any viewers, but generally, besides talking to this fantastic media here, how do you make sure that you are known? Because you might have a fantastic product, but somebody has to know it. What do you do on that score?
I think at this phase, we're trying to be careful with who we bring on board. We are looking for partners that we can grow with. It is a give and take. We are looking for partnerships that will definitely benefit the people who are helping us. But right now we're prioritizing, partners that are within that sweet spot of, the amount of, volume that they're moving through the terminal, a desire for improvement, a sense of having bottlenecks but not knowing where to go from here. Like that mindset is really where we come in, and we can do a lot of good. That's what we're doing today, and we're trying to keep our design partnership program small. We're not trying to bring on 50. We are looking for certainly a handful more, and then next year using and leveraging what we've done with our design partnerships program, we'll have a product that is that much more impactful, that much more actionable, delightful to use. And most importantly, and this is something I can speak to from having done pilot projects in the mining industry, that minimizes change management. Right. It is so important with these products that you don't come in and have all the guys and all the teams change the way that they work how data is recorded. So that is part of the learnings that we're bringing on today, so that next year this is a product that integrates well. And then next year we can talk about how what our sales strategy looks like. But for now it is more warm introductions, and it's having conversations. Okay, so if we look beyond terminal operators of the world, you have containers, which is of course the major thing. You also have other terminals. You have terminals such as breakbulk terminals, where you move heavy pieces around, which cannot be put in a box. That always takes longer. Would you say that this terminal operating system that you are developing, if I understand it right, would that be able to be used on other terminals, not necessarily just container terminals? Could it be any kind of terminal or?
Yeah. So first thing I'll say is, I slight correction, we don't want to be we don't want to be a terminal operating system.
Right.
We really want to, because to Nick's point, we have seen a lot of startups come and try to do something like this. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to replace your terminal operating system, and it's a bit of a startup suicide move, I would say. It's like going to a hospital and saying we want to change your ERP system. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's going to be it's
Got it.
it's going to be a challenging one, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we really wanted to get to time to value. We really wanted to optimize for time to value. So it's like when you work with us, typically we give you a value within a week of having implemented the data or of having ingested the data, and that's something that typically the industry is not used to.
No.
To answer your question, though, there's a famous quote that we've heard as we've been learning a little bit about this space, and it's, when you've seen one terminal, you've seen one terminal. Uh, right. And so that's why we're hyper focused right now on building a really good product for, this SMB market. These are mostly maritime, type ports. That being said, the underlying and core technology that we've developed, we are trying to develop it right now, to be, we call it node agnostic. And so what we mean by that is, whether you are a bulk and break bulk node, or
Yeah.
you are a container node, or you are a rail node, our product, the fundamental underlying technology will
It's
not
just
change,
all right. Got
and
it.
and will be able to scale as a result. We're
Yeah.
hyper focused on this first, SMB terminal maritime ports, but we definitely want to grow to the bulk and break bulk side, and we definitely want to grow to the rail side as well. Those are 100% going to be
Yeah.
paths that the business takes.
Yeah. It's very good you made that clarification, because I agree with you. Calling it terminal operating system, oh, people would say, oh, not another one, and they would already have no interest, So you're absolutely right. It's like finding something that stands out, and I think you do have it. Why I'm keen on these break bulk things is because this is something where they really need efficiency, and where something cannot be so totally planned. And for those kind of terminals, the size of terminals there's no limit. You don't have to stick to SMEs. It could be anyone, because
Right.
for break bulk and bulk cargo in general, there's a lot of variables that you simply cannot control. Whereas
Yeah.
containers are a little bit more predictable, I guess.
Absolutely. And in fact, what we've seen is that the majority, I don't want to say all, but the vast majority of startups that come out, they start with container, because containerized goods are simpler to organize, right? From a data perspective as well. That being said, we do see that there's this huge opportunity on the bulk and break bulk side, because it's been underserved. And I would say that that's maybe one of the core value propositions of the technology that we're developing, is that this is something that will be able to be used for sure, for not just container terminals. And it's something that we keep in mind, during the design of the product. The entire design lifecycle of the product is around this idea of expanding to the bulk and break bulk side.
Very interesting. And while we have the subject, I will just, for our viewers here, change my background picture, so they can see what I mean. This is a little bit unclear, but let me just show.
I didn't even know the last picture or the last background was a picture. I just thought that's where you were.
Here we go. Here we have, this is a break bulk terminal in Durban, South Africa. So for our viewers who are now watching this, now you see Paul has container terminal behind you, and I have a break bulk terminal. So if you want to go to Nodal, you can get both products within the foreseeable future. I think that's I like very much that you are keen to develop this, and not only focusing on containers, because, like you said, at some point anyone can do a container, but there's a lot of other business out there.
And but if I can add, just one of the things that we say in the company is, there's a lot of startups that have tried to do visibility on terminals, so IoT devices, and using computer vision to identify containers, and there's a lot of great development that's been done there. The problem with bulk and break bulk is that it's how are you supposed to put an IoT device on a rock or on a piece of on something, right? It's very difficult to use technology in that way. And so one of the things that we have at the company is like people are still the best forms of IoT.
Yeah.
And that's why, we leverage what currently exists. We're not asking anybody to create net new data. What we want is what we believe, our thesis is that, and we've seen it across our customer base, is that actually there's a tremendous amount of data that is actually already being stored by the team on the ground. They are acting as the IoTs, and we don't necessarily need to, in some cases, actually add net new technology to a yard to get the value, right? The value comes from the data that already exists, and that's the core belief that we're building the product with.
So they don't have to invent the wheel again. The wheel is there. You just help them to put it in the right place, so to speak.
Correct. That's right.
Very interesting, both of you. I mean, may I ask, I'm not supposed to ask a lady such questions, but I could ask the two of you. You are young guys. What are you, early 30s, something like that, Paul?
I just turned 30 a few weeks ago. Yeah.
That's incredible. And you, Nick?
31. So I'm a year wiser than Paul.
It's cool. I'm not going to go into detail about my age, but and I certainly can say age is not always experience. But I and my media here, we want to promote young people like you who is going out and doing something. One of my final questions here before I finish this. What's next for you right now? If we say from your perspective, Paul, what is next right now in your agenda?
We need to continue to build the application with our design partners. So Nick was referring to that program. That program will be closing over the next few months. So we brought on 3 design partners. We want to bring on a handful more. That's a core piece of it, and then build this sort of product that we want to render commercially available next year. Okay. I would also say that I really mean this, and something I said earlier. We want to build this world-class team. I think we're on the right. I believe wholeheartedly that we're on the right track. But that's going to be a huge part of our success moving forward is making sure that we've got the best team at hand. And I really I think we really want to avoid this belief that we're just yet another tech guys that know nothing about the industry that come in and build some other dashboard. So we're here to stay, and we're here to get the best of the best to work for us and with us to build this unique product.
Well, if you sail on the North Sea and there are high waves, then you have already done more than 80% of the people I know. So that certainly talks in your favor. Nick, what's next for you in partnership with Paul? What's next for you?
I mean, it's sort of to what Paul was mentioning. I mean, it's continue to learn from our customers, from our design partners. So to say, I think learning is the most important thing. Understanding the problem in all of its facets. Each terminal has unique challenges to potentially address, and we are looking to honestly absorb as much as possible at this point, so that we can release something 2025. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. And I mean, I'll just add that one of the best parts of our job is when we get to go to different operations around the world or get to travel for work. I was just in Panama, had some phenomenal conversations there, learned a ton. It was in Rotterdam the previous week, met some leaders of the industry, was really inspired from that. And, you're just putting a background of Durban behind you. And honestly, I just want to add that to my bucket list places to go. So this is a really fun industry to be in. And I think the global aspect is something that Paul and I really like to soak in more of in the future.
No, there's no doubt. I speak for everyone who reads this newsletter. Shipping is a lifestyle, and you can't leave it. It's never boring, and you always learn something new. It's endless. But most people in shipping business or outside, let's say outside shipping business, they don't know what we're doing actually. It takes a Panama crisis with no water in the canal or a Suez grounding there to make people understand what is logistics and shipping all about.
I mean, I
think,
knew nothing. I knew
well,
nothing about it, Bo. I
no,
knew
no,
nothing
but
about it before I saw it from space, right?
yeah, the same here in my young days. I thought my Samsung TV came from the supermarket. And of course it does, but it comes from South Korea. Somebody has to move it there, you know. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, look, I want to say many, many thanks to both of you for a great interview. I'm fully aware that you have a lot to do and you have the energy. I support that wholeheartedly, and I'm sure all our readers will be interested as well. So, first of all, thank you very much, Paul, to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. Appreciate the time.
Welcome. And Nick, also, thank you very
Thank you,
much to
Bo, for
you.
organizing this. We're excited to see this come out in the next 2 weeks or
Well,
so.
I have this fat suction button on my computer, so I'll do my best to look slim like you guys. I'll see what I can do. So anyway,
So funny.
to all our listeners, viewers, and readers from around the world, this was yet another great interview by Project Cargo Weekly. Our special guest of honor today has been Mr. Paul Albert-Lebrun. He's the CEO and co-founder of Nodal, based in Boston, USA, and his colleague Nick Westgate, also a co-founder. And to both of them, we say thank you very much. If you are a terminal operator or somebody who needs to become more efficient in running your port, why don't you view this interview in detail and contact them? And for me and Project Cargo Weekly, stay tuned for more interviews in the near future. Thank you very much.